if you have any questions, decisions related questions, not what are you doing on the weekend questions, though if you want to answer that question, you too can answer that question if you want, if you got something fun over the weekend. Welcome, Santiago. If you have any decisions question, feel free to ask it in the chat. If it's a question that I can demonstrate, I will demonstrate that question. If it's just a conceptual, architectural question, I will answer those as well. Just let me know what questions you have in the chat. If not, we can stare awkwardly in each other's eyes for a brief period of time, if that's what we desire. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask away. Let's see, I got the chat open. I got the question, the QA portion open. I'm ready. I'm just gonna get ready and pop open my local. Just in case there is a question. I know. No questions. Wow. I got something that I can demonstrate that I think is pretty cool. Let's see. William, can you like post the what is it? That icon document that we were talking about a long time ago? When we were doing that stuff? I forgot where it's at. I think this is something interesting that we can talk about. I'll pick a document that we can just talk about for a little bit. That seems interesting. I think it's like icon. Shape icons, use your icon reports. Oh wait, it was, I thought I just saw. Yep. Isn't it like Designer Studio? Well, annotation. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So we're gonna go to, is that in the getting started flows? It's gotta be in something administrative, right? You are amazing. All right, perfect. So we're gonna take a look at this one. So we have some different annotation. Okay, this is the step library. Oh, interesting. Okay. Interesting. Okay. This is an interesting document. I was more looking at the one about the you know how you can change the portal icons and stuff? It was like the Designer Studio or something. It was the right click settings. Oh, what was it? I've just changed it and I forgot where it was at. Yeah. He knows what I'm talking about. This is a really cool thing that I want to show you guys. That I think is a really cool. So it's basically if you decisions is very flexible and very what is it, can be branded, and there's a lot of ways that you can customize your different icons and look, right? You got the logo, you can brand it your own thing, but there was a specific document, I think it was like the man, I forgot what it's called. I could probably just find it in the Slack profile that we had. Hold on, let me get this document. Gonna find this document. I think it was like one of the first ones in this channel we created. Logging overview, caching tips, architecture. And we have, there we go. That's what it is. Theme editor. Aha. There we go. The theme editor. That's what I was looking for. This is very interesting. So you can change the themes, right? Here's an example of a person changing their themes, right? And branding it to the way they want, right? Nothing too interesting. But a lot of where you can find this is you can find this in something called a theme editor here. And it's been pretty fun because you can definitely brand the different icons of your environment the way you want. So for example, I go to system, I can right click, I have these theme editor, and I can change the theme of it, right? And I've already gone and done this. I think I went to icons and I changed, I want to say, I think it was the search, right? So see all these like kind of ellipses. So you can change, or these vertical dots, you can change what that looks like. Now I did this with the search icon. Let's see if I go to search. As you can see, I have binoculars instead of the kind of default magnifying glass, and I'm actually going to open up one of our kind of environments that we use for training, just so you can see the difference, because I haven't changed any of this over here. Documents, admin, I think it's admin. No, it's not. Not gonna work. Darn it. Hold on a second. Yep, I know. I forgot. Super secure. Darn it. There we go. Okay. Now, and so as you can see here, the magnifying glass is what we use for the searching for anything in your report. So you click this, it opens up a search. Man, say that 10 times fast. Oof, that was a tough one. And you can type in whatever you want and you can search for that particular thing. So if I have a particular section here, let's say I want to search for a specific exercise in like the training self-paced module that we have, I can type, select from flow or whatever, and then it'll filter out and grab me that. So what I did in my environment, I'm going to switch back into my local, is I changed this to binoculars. So when you go into my environment, you'll see that I have binoculars as my search, right? It's a yellow binocular and I can type and search for different things. If I'm in my apps, there we go, project here. So now I can click on the binoculars and I could search for, hey, I want to see dev team A, right? And so I can change those environments and what in those icons and what search for there. So over here, the vertical ellipses that we see here, you can also change that as well. By going into that theme editor, I think I mentioned that earlier, where theme editor, and then if you go into icon, right, I got the actions and then it shows you the ellipses. So this part, this kind of vertical, it's not an ellipses, vertical dots, we'll call this vertical dots, how's that? I can change this by uploading the different accent markers or different icons here. Now, a question that you may get asked is like, cool, Jared, you can change the icons and you make it different, but like, where do I get new icons? There's a lot of free online web sources that you can utilize it. I use like Icon Monster. It's just a free kind of website that you can download PNGs, SVGs of certain kind of non-copyrighted kind of images that you can use to brand your decision system in a certain way. And so this is pretty helpful. And so that's where I found like the binoculars. I found it from here. So this is where you can get your icon, try to, you're gonna have to try to guess on the pixel size of those things. I don't know the pixel size of those icons entirely, but then once you do determine the correct pixel size, then you can change your environment to say, hey, I don't want it to be binoculars, or I don't want it to be a magnifying glass. I want it to be binoculars. I'm going to go into a folder. I think that also changes the search bar in the Flow Designer. So as you can see here, now I have the binoculars for my search in the Flow Designer instead of the magnifying glass. So fun stuff. Another cool thing I've changed is in the report viewer is you can change the folder icons to not be folder icons, but to be, what do you call it? But to be different things. So for example, I'm going to open up the studio here and let's go into Travel Splash, right? A project we may be very well familiar with if you've gone through training. And inside of the report viewer, right? I'm just going to delete this. But inside the report view, you have these list of folders right here, these folder icons. And so what I did just for fun is I said, hey, I want to change these to briefcases. And so, I changed it to briefcases. So in my environment, when I go to the report on my example, reports, and then I click on, and then I delete, I'm going to delete this, and then I click add. This is my local. Notice that I have the icons, but notice now they're all briefcases because that's a proxy for desired. That's what I wanted. So that's why I changed to that. So that's a cool thing you can do with the theme editor. It's a lot of changing those things to brand it a certain way. I thought it was pretty fun, so I wanted to share that new realization. But if you have any questions, I have the chat open and I have also the question and answer thing open. So if you have a particular question on what you're building or on something related to training on how it works or something related to whatever you have, I can feel free to post it and ask it, and we'll be more than happy to I'll be more than happy to answer those questions. Hey, I'm working on a form and have a couple of questions. Perfect. So what type of form are you working on, Daryl? What are you trying to do with that form? Oh, you can also come off mute. So thanks, Sabrina.
Right. Can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Perfect. All right. So I'm working on a form for an insurance company. The form is actually going to display coverage data. But right now I'm currently using the form. It's going to have certain boxes that are going to have to display currency coverages and certain boxes are displaying text like strings. What I'm running into trouble is two things. For the currency box,
Okay.
Well, maybe I should ask, is there an element I can use on here where I could show the currency and I don't know if I could share a screen, maybe not. But I can show you a picture of what I'm running into. The currency boxes are graying out when I enable or disable it. So because I don't want anyone to be able to edit it. Is
Mhm.
there, and CSS is not able to change that background back to white. So if I use a text box, I can have a white background. But if I'm using currency boxes, my CSS does not change the background to white. So it makes my form look like I have gray boxes and white boxes.
Gotcha. So it looks the design's very weird.
Mhm.
Got you. So great question. So what we advise doing is whenever you have a form that you want to have read-only fields. Oh, let me see if I can find. Okay, here's another thing. Hold on. I got a great example that will show this. What we do essentially is instead of utilizing a text box and making it uneditable, all
Mhm.
you have to do is set a label to accept a data name.
Mm.
And so then the values are actually labels with data names. Does that make sense?
So if you don't mind, can you demo that? I think I know what you're saying, but I just want to see. So I
Absolutely.
slide in a label and I make the data name the name of the label.
Yeah. So here we go. Let me. I'm actually gonna see if I can order this to the bring to front. Haha. So I'm gonna share this huge little screenshot that I have here. So here's what the result would look like. I'm gonna drag this over. So see this form right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of like an example loan agreement for like a lender, and see how it says like the borrower social security of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9.
Mm-hmm.
See how the number, that's a label, and all the
Okay.
label does is it takes in a data name. So that's what the end result's going to be like. So now I'm going to show you how we did it. So what we did is, let me close this. So all we did is in our form, or in our form, let's go to I'm just going to create a new one. Let's go to dev team C. We're going to create a form. Oh, I already got one. Test form. Nope, we're just going to do a brand new form. It's be easier. So now, instead of, this is going to be my entry form.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say I have the currency, right? This
Mm-hmm.
one's going to be the currency box. Boom. And this one's going to be text box. Boom. And then I'm going to say this is, I don't know, name, right? And this is money. We're just going to be very simplistic with it. And so then what we'll do is I'll add a button, and we'll call this button done. But then on my next form, what I'm going to create is I'm actually going to say save. I'm actually just going to copy this one, edit, edit, copy form, and we're going to say this is the display form. Display data is what we'll call it, display data. And so on this form, instead of having a text box and a currency box, I'm going to add my labels, right? So this is going to be the title label. That's just going to be, name. And then I'm going to add another label, and I'm going to call this one money. But here's the new thing. Now, instead of reutilizing these controls and setting it to uneditable, which is what I'm assuming we've been doing before, all you have to do is I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger. So I'm going to make these labels just a little bit bigger so that they're kind of like titles. And we'll do the same thing for this one. Uncheck use form font, set it 25, make it bold. And then all I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete these controls, and I'm going to replace these controls with labels. So I can say this is the money value. And then now I'm going to change, see where this checkbox where it says text from data name? All you have to do is check that. And now I'm going to paste in money value. Oops, and so all this does right here is it just creates a variable. And with this variable now is we can now, instead of having to, so I'm going to leave this one the way it is so you can kind of see the difference. And so now instead of having this initially disabled, and I'm going to create a new flow. So test new forms flow. And we're going to grab show form. We're going to put this here, pick create, pick existing. We're going to grab the entry form. Then we're going to another show form, and we're going to say this is the display data form. Pick existing, display data. And then now what we're going to do is here, notice that the name, I already mapped in the name, but for the money value, I'm going to select from flow. I'm going to grab the money, which is going to be a double. I want a currency format it with 2 decimals, right? And so now when I do that, let's debug it so you can see what happens. So now in my forms, I'm going to say this is, right, Jared, and then we'll say the money is, I don't know, 120, or just say 12,000, all right? Currency of 12,000. And then what we'll do is I'm going to click done. And as you see, what happens is I get this passed in. And instead of seeing it as grayed out text, I can just see this as a label with data. So I can't edit this. And it looks a lot cleaner than kind of having text boxes that are grayed out.
Yes. So yeah. So in my scenario, I'm having a ton of data passed in through a data structure for coverages. I just need to make sure that basically you convert it into currency in the flow. If I'm going to make sure that's right. So it's just showing in that label as currency.
Yep. Another way you could do this too, because if you already have that as your form input, so let's say, what's another thing I can do this? Let's say I created let's say I'm going to create a quick object just so you can see what this looks like. It's the same thing. It's just in the form designer. So I'm going to create like a really simple flow structure. It's not saved anywhere. And I'm going to say this is like our money name object, right? And it's going to have, right, money, which will be a decimal. And then it's going to have a name, which will be, naturally a string. So I'm going to create this. And then what I can do is, because I think I know what you're doing, because in a lot of best practice we do is you always have the kind of data object as the form input inside of the form designer.
Exactly.
So let's go to test new forms flows. And I'll kind of show you what that looks like in that setup. So all you're doing here is, right, we're going to set up an input. I'm going to define the input, which you've already done, right? This is going to be object, or this is going to be, right, data, or whatever we want to name it. And I'm going to say this is like the money, I think I called it money name object, right? So then I can click and save, and notice that I have these given inputs here. So now it's the same thing, but instead of having the money value variable specified, now I have this pick from data option right here. Similar to a data repeater, you left click this, I can expand this, and I can grab this money value right here. And so I can display it there. And that's what you would do for your setup, is instead of going and defining it from the flow perspective, you would do it from this perspective here.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So label, bring in a label, and then pick text from data, and then tie it back to whatever that
input is on the form.
Input was that's coming in the form. So for me, it'll be different coverages. All right. I'll try that. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I had one other question. So that it
Sure.
was about I have another box. Now this is a text box. I'm using multiple lines of text. Is there a way to resize? So just imagine if I have 12 text boxes on top of each other, or now it's going to be labeled and text boxes, but I need to resize all the boxes that's on a form. Is there an easy way to just resize the boxes to make them just a little bit bigger, like with the height or something?
So you would be manipulating the rows and the columns. That'd be the best way to do it. So like, for example, if I want this a little bit bigger, you can resize the column, or on the controls themselves, they'll have this little arrow that you click on to resize it. And that would be the best way, to do it. That's how you would interface with it.
I think the thing I run into is if you imagine like both of those being right on top of each other, and then the whole form having it like that. So like you have those on the grid, you have 8 spots there. Imagine 8 labels right there on top of each other. So if I make one bigger, I'm covering up another one, if that makes sense. So I was just thinking of just some resizing options. Maybe, is it like said, sizing on the side where I can make the row bigger?
Yeah, so if you need to add an additional row, all you have to do is click on the grid. And then the best property is to use the additional layout up at the top. And then you can like add 30 more rows, right? Or add a couple more rows, and now it extends farther, and now I can move my controls down or around or whatever I need to.
And then space them out a little bit.
Yeah, and space them out a little bit, or do whatever you need to in regard to that. So that would be the way to do it. So to recap, click on the grid and then just advanced layout.
Okay. All right. That was helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. All right, got another question from VT. Why is the Python module not supported? Let's see, Python. I think it says it here, Python module. In specifically the containers. And the reason why is, I think it's because you use a specific library or something. Something to that effect. And so it was hard. It's hard to navigate that to containers or something like that. I don't know specifically, and I thought there was containers. I think it's the container overview that I need to find. Yeah, let's get to orchestration, configuring, deploying. Yep, something with a setup. I don't know specifics, but any other questions? Yeah, I thought we had a document over that. Hey, Will, do you know that where document that was? The one that was like where it says like what containers are supported in or not. Can you know if you can find that for me? Okay, thanks. I know it's somewhere because I remember seeing it. And this is like available module. And the Python coding language, sure. But I don't know if it's not supported. Because I feel like if I go into my apps, and if I go into App Store modules, is the Python module not here? Yeah, we have the Python module right here. And this instance environment here that I'm in is a container. So I think it is. So I think, yeah, you can use it in containers. I think. I wonder why it wasn't. Because I do remember that. I just don't know why. Another question. We can try. Installed successfully. So looks like it's good. Now let's go into list flows. I don't have a Python script to run, but Python and then execute Python script. Script file, data, working directory, list parameters. Yeah, I think you could. Oh, perfect. So yeah, thanks, you will. Yeah, so there's a document on after installing, you have to point to the location of the Python stuff. And I think that's a Linux directory with forward slashes. So I think, yeah, so I think you could. I think that, but I do know what you're talking about. I think that was an older version. And I think you can use Python scripts now, if I'm not mistaken. But further testing would need to be done to confirm. Does PowerShell work well in containers? So we do use PowerShell in this training environment that I have right now. So this is actually a Docker container run on a Linux environment that's actually executed. That basically is I gotta get this right. It's you have to install Windows on a Linux machine or use like WSL Windows subsystem for Linux to do it. But with that setup, we have been able to run PowerShell scripts on it. Can you use the inform session to navigate to a page with Chrome equals off parameter? Yes, you can. I think I've used that before. It's a very fun thing to do. Inform session step is just an amazing step. Like for those of you, or for if people don't know, let me go to my instance just so I don't slow it down. It's just a really cool thing. Like it's inform session step. It doesn't get enough attention, but it is pretty nice. The only hard part is like whenever you do integrations, it always like allows people to log back into the system. And in that case, you have to use the actual create end form to do that. But here, you can navigate, open a URL, open a portal new window, update URL. Like you get all the stuff you can do on this specific step. So it just was very powerful. So you can have like, if a user fills out a form, they hit an end form step, and let's say you don't want them to just display a form's done, what you can do is you can say, hey, when a user submits a form or submits a new hire request, I want to actually navigate them to the new hire request dashboard or a specific page on that folder or what have you. So it's just so cool. And you can specify parameters. If there's additional web parameters that you need to add, it's a really powerful step. Really, really, really cool. I think our self-paced module that we used to install in people's environments uses that to navigate people to the particular flow that they're editing and all that stuff. It's really cool. Open a new window, right? Chrome equals off, right? If I want to open a new window, I can do Chrome equals off, small, top bar, tree collapse, folder tree, right? I have all the options, even if I don't want to like just type in the URL and like constant and be like Chrome equals off, but I could do that way if I wanted to. All right. Any other questions? Sure. So if I open URL, display, let's see what dashboard I want to display. Perfect. I think it was, nope, it's not testing form flow. Oh no, it was. Huh. So I can say, hey, I want to open a new window. Nope. Yeah, Chrome equals off. Folder ID. I think I said that a constant. Page name. Let me go ahead and get that. And it's called test page. So get folder ID. Test page. Boom. Pretty cool step. Like I said, I think more people should use it. Any other questions? Sure. Inform session. I just wanted to open URL and be able to display URL, then at Chrome equals off. Open a new window. Sure. Boom. Cool. Yep, it works. And the parameters, I'm not sure if the parameters I don't think the parameters part is used for that. I think the parameters part is for any like authentication parts for that. But we can test that out. I just don't know if it will. Is it because you want to have it like dynamically? Let's test it. We have to see where it puts it though in the parameters. So if I'm testing out URL, so let's go into open URL, and let's say I specify the parameters, right? Let's do test. I'm gonna name it test, and then I'm gonna put data. I just want to see what happens. So the URL is going to be sure localhost. I want to see where it puts it. So I don't know where it adds this. Let's not do the Chrome equals off. I just want to see what happens. Boom. Oh wait. Test page, specify parameters. Data, where's my data? I lost my data. Let me add it again. Inform session. Let's say, I guess let's do navigate. But like, which part are you using? Are you using navigate or are you using open URL? Like, which part are you using? Is what's the point you're making? Is there a specific point you're making that like, is there a reportable a bug that I need to submit a DT for, or? Let's do data. We'll do test. Data. No, the open URL. Constant. This page, delete. All that stuff. Okay, so if I save this test, I wonder where it's gonna appear. So it appears at the end. So it says test equals there. Page test equals that, and it equals data. So this one always adds an equals to it. So based on the functionality, it would equals and Chrome equals off. So I don't think that would work. Well, because it sounds like, so when we look how it behaves, so it's adding an equals already to whatever the value is that you add. So that's why I don't think it equals and Chrome equals off wouldn't work. Let's test that out, because that's right here. We have the data here and it's just displaying that page. And then I have my data and then equals parameter. So that would explain why it doesn't. That's why you probably would want to use the other parts of it, right? The other parts I've demonstrated, because that will work. And then you can use like a merge plains text editor to kind of craft that URL to make it custom if you need it that way. Test data, and so right, if I did and Chrome equals off, I don't think this will work. Chrome equals off. Oh, looks like it still even works with that. Okay, cool. I didn't think it would because of the equals part. So you can do it however way you want. It looks like it still seems to read that because I did it with the parameters and still has equals Chrome equals off. So yeah, I'd say it's good. Seems like maybe something in your setup that may is preventing it from working. If you're trying to update a specific parameter in a URL because you're using a filter change data source, then maybe you would want to use the update parameters part to manipulate that. That would be my suggestion. All right. Any other questions? All right. All right. I don't see any more questions. So tomorrow, oops, I didn't mean to stop the screen share. I clicked the wrong button. So thank you so much for attending the Lunch and Learn. Tomorrow will be led by Ashley Wilson. She's someone from the pre-sales engineering team, so she helps design the POCs. So she'll be a great asset for asking some design questions and implications. So this recording will be posted online, so you'll be able to watch and see the things that we've discussed here. So, but thank you all for attending, and I'll see you guys next time.